All right. Welcome to episode 3. Today we are going to talk about how to find a place to live as a nomad, a slothy nomad if you want to join us, or a digital nomad. So there's a lot of places you can live. So let's just kind of explain how we got here today. So years ago, I would say at least 10 years ago, Raina bought me this book, How to Retire Overseas. And it's by a lady named Kathleen Peddicord. And she really pushes living abroad. You know, if you're an American, I think she's lived most of her life overseas. She's lived in Ireland, she's lived in South America, and now I think she is headquartered in Panama City, Panama. So the book in what she talks about, let me jump over here to, I cut a little bit of her screen out here. And so I don't know if you noticed in the title, but I said your favorite, your place, because everybody's different. And this is how she breaks it down. And you know, she says cheap living, luxury living on a budget, retire to the beach or the mountains, school-age children, entrepreneurs, healthcare. I mean, it really comes down to what floats your boat, pretty much, because everybody's different. I think, and then I popped this into AI, and I said, "Hey, AI, tell me if I want to pick, you know, how to decide where to live as a digital nomad." And this is the 6 things it came up with. And typically, number one, cost of living is going to be number one for most of us. Unless you're like, you know, some trust fund baby or something like that and have a lot of money and you can just travel around wherever you want. And then you probably aren't watching this video anyway. So, cost of living, climate, safety, culture, lifestyle, accessibility, internet connectivity. And if you're working as a digital nomad, number 6 might be number 1 or might be number 2, because you really depend on that internet. And you know, I like to have good internet wherever I am. So we'll go through, I'll show you some tools on how to compare some of these things with other cities. You know, what you basically want to do, and I kind of pre-drew this little table here. You want to come up with some kind of a matrix, and you want to compare what's important to you. And today we'll really be focusing on cost of living. And I just picked 4 cities around the world, you know, Chiang Mai, Thailand, Prague in the Czech Republic, Medellin, Colombia, and Merida, Mexico. And I kind of chose those for a reason, because over here in accessibility, to get from here, like right now we are in Vancouver, by the way. We drove up from Seattle a couple of days ago, and we spent the day up in Squamish. And beautiful day. I mean, the weather's perfect. It rained every single day when we were in Seattle, and it was cold, especially after being in Mexico for a few months. We froze, and today was around 60 degrees up north. It was absolutely gorgeous. Blue skies, beautiful place. So when I say here, I meant to say United States, but to fly from the United States to Chiang Mai, Thailand is probably not going to be a real quick event. So, and I'll show you how we're going to break this down here in a second. So back to this, cost of living. Well, let's just get into it. I mean, let's just pull up. Let's start with Numbeo. So, like I said earlier, this is Numbeo, and this is one of your best resources that you can have when you're determining where to live. Because if you, and we'll click around, I'll kind of show you around how Numbeo works, but here they have like a a color-coded system, and green is cheaper. The greener, the cheaper. The brighter red, like this is Honolulu right here, and you zoom in on here, and Honolulu is very expensive. And what they did, let me just go back. Let's pull up, and I would recommend if you get really familiar with this website. Um, let's just look at the cost of living index. Okay, that's that. Okay, hold on. Here we go. So this is a current index right here. And if you go down to New York City, if you notice right here, it has all hundreds across the board. And I think I talked about Numbeo in episode 1. But if I didn't, here we go. People around the world input all their prices for most things: rent, food, gasoline, a car, how much a bus pass costs. And there's millions and millions of entries in Numbeo. And so what they did, they said whatever the price in New York is going to be given the number 100. So their rent is 100, their cost of living, groceries, restaurant, everything is 100. So if you see a city and there's only 10 of them above 100 on the cost of living, and like Hamilton, Bermuda is a 141. That is like 40% more expensive than New York to live in Bermuda. Zurich, Switzerland, 33% higher. And so you can extrapolate, and then you can go all the way down this list right here. And I just want to show you, like, let's just kind of look and see where's the bottom of the United States. Albuquerque, my hometown, is 102. We'll go down, let's see. Getting cheaper, getting cheaper, getting cheaper, getting cheaper. So now we're down in India. India is going to be probably the most inexpensive place. And the reason I'm doing all this pain right here. Oh, I know how I can do this faster. Do this. Sorry. Cost of living by country. Prices by country. Cost of living index. Oh, that's fine. My bad. So I wanted to go America. Here we go. So here's all the cities in the United States, Canada, Mexico. So you go to the most inexpensive city that's in the United States. And right now it looks like Knoxville, Tennessee. And here's where we're going to start doing some of these comparisons. So let's just compare. Let me write that down so I don't forget it. Knoxville, Tennessee. And we're going to go back, and this is how you compare two cities. So you start and you say, select location. Let's just pick one of our random 4 cities. Let's just say Medellin, Colombia. Okay, so right now, if you see this currency right here, this is Canadian, I'm in Canada, Colombian peso. So let's change that to USD, because that's what most of us are going to be familiar with. So it gives you, if there's enough data on both places, and it looks like there's enough data from Knoxville and from Medellin. It says consumer prices in Knoxville, Tennessee are 125% higher than in Medellin. Rent prices are 318% higher than in Medellin. And so you go down right here and you look at all the different things that people have been put prices on. And it also has it in the Colombian peso price. And see here, it's saying, hey, improve our data quality. You live in Medellin or you live in Knoxville, tell us some prices in Knoxville. And you don't have to input all of them. For instance, let's just look at, I like this one here, the McDonald's meal. In Colombia, it's $5.55 on average, and in Knoxville, it's $8. Not that big of a difference. But here's where you really get into the big difference, and this is what's going to affect you as a nomad. A one-bedroom apartment in downtown Medellin cost on average $331. The same one-bedroom apartment in Knoxville City Center, and this is the cheapest, of the cities that are reporting enough data, Knoxville, Tennessee is one of the cheapest. $1,400, and then you get into three bedrooms. You get a three-bedroom in Medellin for $591, or you can pay $2,500 in Knoxville. And that's why when you really start getting into these tools, there's not that many American cities. I mean, it's great to be, if you can be a digital nomad and you want to live in San Francisco, you really want to see some extremes. Compare the place on the top of the list or near the top of the list, like San Francisco. Compare that to the cheapest on the list, which is going to be someplace probably in India. So that's all I'm saying. When you start to look around and you determine what's important to me, because the snowbirds, if you think about what snowbirds do from Canada or from the northern United States, they live based on not real price, but they live based on climate. So if climate's important to you, and I think it should be, if if you're old like me and you like warm or you like cold or you like whatever, you find the place that fits you. And it's all of these things mixed up together. And we go back to, let's see, jump back to my Word document. To this right here, cost of living, climate, safety, culture, and lifestyle. And all I'm telling you here is do tons of homework, do tons of research before you commit to living somewhere. Or go there for a couple of weeks, and if you like living there, do that. So let's go to, so this is Numbeo, and let's see. Let's go to Nomad List. So Nomad List is, and it's interesting, these right here change. These 1, 2, and 3, I think, change every few days. And you also need to understand if it's legal for you to go to this place and work. So, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but let's go. Look at a couple articles. So recently, in the last week or two, I've been reading a lot of stuff on this new digital nomad visa. And if you go through and you read this, one of the cheapest places to live, Colombia, just came out with a digital nomad visa. And so that really, it's like a 2-year program. You pay X number of hundreds of dollars, and they let you come there and work. And they're really good with the co-working spaces, and we'll go through all that. But then look and see what Portugal did. They had a thing called a golden visa program. And I read through this article. I read tons of articles about this all the time. And you get down to some of these things right here. Right here. This is something that's going to come up when you start to travel, if you become a digital nomad. Governments have also been facing internal protests as real estate prices, especially in the most popular destinations, keep rising, pushing local residents out as foreigners buy houses and apartments to rent via services like Airbnb. And it's a tough one. I mean, that's a conundrum that you have to deal with, because it's kind of like gentrification of a city. When people come in and they start tearing things down and start building and replacing them with new. Well, some view that as eventual progress. I mean, it's going to happen. But at the same time, you are displacing people when you come in there. So but it's one of those things where you have to understand the local politics of where you're going. And depending on who has a digital nomad visa or not will affect you. And if people are not going to be, like, I've heard that Colombia might start taxing your pension. Like, I'm a retired military. If they start throwing a tax on that, it might make me as a nomad say, well, I don't want to go there other than as a tourist. So back to Nomad List. And let's go back and let's look. Let's see. Let's go look at just a couple here. We'll look at Chiang Mai and Prague. Chiang Mai. So if you look right here, it's the number 22 based on total score for digital nomadism. Most people like it when they're there, and it goes through and it adds all these, different colors. Food safety bad, lack of racism bad, income level, their income level, $498 a month. Actually, $493 a month. Not a lot of people speak English, so that's something that you have to decide. Well, that's not important to me, or it is important to you. And then you can go here, and it basically explains. It takes it down to the level. The best taxi app. You're going there. You start, learning best co-working spaces. It really is loaded with just tons of information about Chiang Mai. You can go to the pros and cons. It says just right down the list. It's affordable to live, it's very safe, fast internet. So let's just focus on price right now. Affordable to live. Let's look at Chiang Mai, and let's compare Chiang Mai to, let's see, we were just looking at, let's compare to Medellin. So, consumer prices are 31% higher than Medellin. And so up here it says you need around, well, let's change it. I like USD, man. I like everything to be at USD. And let's change it. It says prices are higher. It said you would need around $2,200 a month in Chiang Mai to maintain the same standard of life that you can have with $1,700 a month in Medellin. So Medellin is about $500 a month cheaper. And then you come back over here to Medellin. Let's close this out, and we'll go back and we'll search for Medellin. Oh, hey. Hello, Medellin. And then we'll go back to the score. So it's pretty close. I mean, it's number 20. And you look at the total score, 97% liked it. I've been there. I have not been to Chiang Mai. My friend Garrett's been to Chiang Mai and absolutely loved it. But look right here. If you're in Medellin and you have slow internet, that could affect you as a digital nomad. If you're working somewhere and you're like, oh my God, 5 megabits. That's not good. And if you need to do that Zoom meeting every day, this is going to suck for you. So that's something that to take into consideration. Safety bad, lack of crime very bad, lack of racism bad. And then it goes back over here. Affordable live, number 1. Freedom of speech is weak, not safe, slow internet, dry air. I mean, it breaks it down, and you've got to figure out, well, based on all these things, and here's just a snapshot. Yeah, I'd look at this internet in Da Nang, Vietnam, not good. Internet, great in Portugal, great in Thailand. So basically, if you just focus on, let's just say you want to go to Latin America, and then it breaks it down, you know, Mexico City might be in there. So then you can keep just bouncing back and forth. Let's say, what's better, Mexico City? See how much Mexico City costs. Well, let's compare Mexico City with Prague. And once again, it's in, looks like something that's not USD. USD is what I like because I can understand it. So you need around $3,100 in Mexico City to maintain the same standard of life that you can have with $4,200 in Prague. So Prague is a little more expensive, but go back over here and you look at Prague, see how they stack up in Nomad List. Scores. So they're number 62, and let's see what hurts them. It's probably too cold for a lot of people. If you don't like pretty freezy kind of stuff, and it's a little more expensive, $3,000 a month. So that kind of puts it down on the list. Wow, lack of racism is bad everywhere, man. But you even go down to nightlife, happiness. Not sure how they would quantify that. LGBTQ. Let's see. Pros and cons. Too expensive. Safe. So, if safety's something, you pay $1,000 a month extra. You live in Prague. I've heard Prague. I mean, I've been to Prague too. Wonderful city. So, it gets very cold. It does get cold in the winter. So, let's see. So basically, when you're deciding, using all these factors here, then you might come down here and say cost of living in Merida is a B. You come down to Medellin, you put it as an A. So at the end of the day, let's look at accessibility. You can fly from Houston, Dallas, or Miami to Merida in 2 hours. So I would have to give it an A on accessibility. And Medellin, you're going to probably have to give that a C or maybe a D, or maybe Chiang Mai a D, Prague a D, because you have to fly an overnight flight to Europe. And you just go through and you just keep picking at everything that's important to you. And at the end of the day, you have to decide what's best. I can tell you what I think is best in the world. I think in Colombia, but that's me. I've been to 40 something countries, and I'm pretty comfortable, even when it's got a little bit of. I think most of the crime that happens, nothing like it happened in the 80s, 90s with Mr. Escobar. He got killed in '93. I think most of their crime is petty crime because you have a pretty poor country. I mean, they make, if you go. Oh, I was going to show you that in Numbeo. Let's go back to Numbeo. And let's go and type in Medellin at the very bottom of Medellin. And I'm going to change this back to USD. I wish it had just defaulted to USD. It doesn't. It's not made anywhere in the United States. So let's go down. If you go down to the very bottom, it shows you what their average monthly net salary is. And if you look, $376 a month is what their average salary is. And look at those mortgage rates. I mean, it's incredible sometimes when you see stuff like this. They make $376 a month, and average one bedroom in city centers $331. So you have to have probably 2 or 3 people working in a house to afford something like this. So let's say you buy this right here outside a city center. You have kids, $444, and you make it $376 a month. And It's like, goodness gracious. And so they see your rich self walking down the street in Colombia with your $1,200 iPhone and, jewelry and cameras. And I've seen all kinds of crap that's done by people who aren't thinking, or, you know, they see you stick your phone out the cab window, boom, it's gone. So, bottom line, just to kind of wrap it up, the use these tools. I mean, Nomad List. Let's go back to that real quick one last time. Boom. Let's see, you can clear that. I mean, if you just, let's see, grid view, chart view. I mean, you can go and you can look at all these different places. I didn't like that. Mappy, maybe? What was I looking for? Yeah, this is similar to the one that's over in Numbeo. But you could type in, you could just click, safe. And it's going to show you just the ratings for safety. And you're going to see here in a lot of South America, it's green. Some places it's red. Hello. Don't let me zoom in too much. There we go. So if safety is important, that's what you'd put. Oh, here's North America. Just curious how they rate us. And see, that's interesting. Everybody's talking about how dangerous the United States is sometimes. But it's pretty highly rated. Let's see. What else can I tell you about this? And you can join, I think it's a pay service. Excuse me. But I mean, I don't get in there. If you join, you can talk to other travelers, you can talk to other nomads, and you can, basically set up meetings and stuff like that. So I think that's everything for this week. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions about any of the tools I've used today, let me know. I'll answer them in the comments. I appreciate it. Have a great day.